Hey guys, Wages World here. Hey, I'm going to show you a few things here. It's December 25th, 2019. I wasn't going to do a video because it's Christmas, but I'm kind of up, can't sleep. So I'm going to go ahead and do one anyway, but I needed to do it to begin with. I told you guys I'd keep you updated on the earthquake stuff, and we are getting more action. We've had lots and lots of 6.0s across the planet. When I say lots and lots, it's just more than normal, okay? But we had another 6 point plus in the Cascadia subduction zone. Okay, so with that is very concerning because we had a lull period where we weren't seeing any big ones in there, and then all of a sudden we get another one that's just as big, if not bigger, than the initial one yesterday. Okay, so guys, if that Cascadia subduction zone slips, the whole world's going to change. Okay, we talk about how the West Coast would be redefined, right? Because it'd be such a big tidal wave. But the fact of the matter is, if something like that was to happen in that grand of a scale, it would affect the whole world. Okay, it's not just going to be related right there. The initial hit, yes, but it's going to trickle down. Our economies and everything else would probably crash. It would just be such a horrible thing. So many people would pass away, get killed by this. So this is why we talk about this. And I do think it's a legit conversation, and I do think that space weather has something to do with it. Scott did a video today on the connection between the earthquake and what's going on out by the sun with our object and all the other stuff that's happening. I'm going to point you guys over there to go check that out. And Dutch has been doing a lot of good stuff too. So I think, for me, I'm not the expert on it, but I can, and I am smart enough to know that space weather has something to do with it. All right. Think of it this way. Say you had a pendulum and you started putting objects on it on one side. Okay, and you say you put 15, 20 objects on one side, and then it's hanging tough, right? It ain't tipped over. You add that 21st object and it flips. Okay, but in order for that thing to flip, it had to have those first 20 on there first, and then that last one is what caused it to go ahead and get all jacked up. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I say space weather has something to do with earthquakes. Okay, it's not the only cause of these earthquakes. It's just part of the formula, part of the equation. All those other things have to be there too. But the thing that makes these things pop off changes every time. Okay, so this time the last part of the equation could be the space weather. Next time it could be whatever else causes earthquakes, right? Slipping of the plates and all other pressure from underneath, whatever we're talking about, right? So all that has to be there for that stuff to happen. It just, when we talk about space weather causing it, we can't just assume that's the only thing that is causing it. Because that's not in no way, shape, or form what I'm saying. It's just part of the equation that needs to be taken in consideration. So, with that being said, go check his stuff out over there at Planet X News, the video he just made, Scott did. Now, what we're going to do here, guys, we're going to look at the Schuman real quick, too. Okay, and I'm going to show you these earthquakes also over at USGS, but for right now, we're going to talk about this. Now, I've been talking about this code-looking thing, right? Looks like Morse code. And by the way, this is today, right now. First off, we have these spikes. Okay, we could talk about that all day long if we wanted to. Mental health goes crazy when these things spike. It's directly related to crime rate, poor health, blood pressure, all of it. All right, and what this is it is the vibrational frequency of the Earth. Everything has a resonance, and that's what this is. This is the Earth's resonance. It's supposed to be 7.83 hertz. So you're seeing right here on the side it says 8, right? So that line is usually almost always there. Now, to understand what I'm getting ready to talk about, you have to understand how this tool works. Okay? When it gets a data point, it sees a frequency, it puts it, it's not just a dot like that, or like that, or like that, right? What it is it's a straight line all the way through until it goes up as high as it needs to. Okay? So, that's important for what I'm getting ready to say. Now, this horizontal thing that we're looking at looks like a code, is in no way, shape, or form natural. All right? At least in my opinion. It's too perfect. It's too whatever you want to say there. Is that Morse code? I don't think it is. Is it a code? I don't know. All right? all I can tell you is I don't think it's natural. I've sent tons and tons of emails off to these guys to try to figure out this is a tool malfunction. I'm getting no response. So that means one of two things. Either they just don't want to respond, or they're not responding for a reason. Okay? Sometimes silence is the loudest message you can hear. Because if we're not hearing nothing, it would be easy for them to say, hey, yes, this is a tool anomaly. Right? But they're not saying that to me. If that is the case, that would be easy because everybody would just accept it, right? Most people would. But they're not even saying that. So that's what I'm saying. This is why I think that this isn't a tool anomaly. Because I'm getting no response. So I have to look into this further for that very reason. So I'm looking at this and just trying to figure that out is hard enough. But check this out. Remember, like I said, you get a data point and it goes like this, right? And it stays solid until the frequency tops out or bottoms out. Well, why are we seeing this? We're now getting these dashes and these code looking things vertical. So to understand what that actually means, that one data point at that exact moment, it had to somehow miss frequency here. Okay? And it's really odd. And, with that being vertical, or what is going on here? And that's what I'm trying to say. And something else that was as of note is that this horizontal one is at, right now, right around 16 hertz. Well, a few months back, it was down here. And then it kind of moved up here. Then we've seen it in 2 or 3 different spots going all the way across the graph. I don't know what's happening. Okay? I really wish I could get an answer here, but the fact that we're now seeing it vertical really is troubling. I don't know if it's something that's trying to communicate to us, if we're doing something here. I just don't know. But I do think that I would like to get some opinions on what this is. If anybody has any idea what this is, please put it in the comment section. Email me. Whatever you got to do. I just don't know what that is. Again, I can theorize, but I'm not going to throw a bunch of theories out there when I really don't have much and nothing to back it up with. That's just not what I do. So, I just don't know what this is yet. So, I wanted to bring that to you. So, hold on just a second. Okay, guys, I got you over here at SDO. This is back on the 22nd. I was going to show you guys this the other day, but I just didn't have time. But I caught something here on the SDO that I've not seen on this particular angstrom, the 304. I've seen it, like little bright flashes and stuff like that before, but not like this. This is a little strange. It's a little odd. Do I think it's big time news? Probably not. But I do think that it's worth a look. Okay. So again, this is back on the 22nd, and this is the angstrom we usually come to see filaments and stuff dancing around. We'll see them whip out and going off into space like CMEs and stuff like that. We see them easier on the edges of what they call the limb of the sun here because you have a black background. If you're looking at that, it's hard to see. They're still doing it. Make no mistake that those filaments are still dancing around right in front of your eyeballs. Okay? You just can't see it because of the background. The sun's in the back. It's just too bright. It drowns it out. It kind of camouflages it. Now, we do see them sometimes on the front side. Also, we got a couple new sunspots I'll show you, which is actually kind of cool. But this is what I want to show you. See how that's reaching out? Now, watch real close right here, guys. You see that little flash? That was there for just a second. Okay? I can't even believe I even seen that. So I stopped. Now, if you go over to some of the other angstroms, you're not even going to see that. You can go over to the actually SDO site. This is on ISWA. The SDO site, and it's not there either because the timestamp isn't there. This is only right here on ISWA. ISWA at 8:42:42. Okay, on the 22nd. And so what I'm going to do, I actually, you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. I'm sure you guys see that little flash. Watch. There. See it? It blinked real fast. So I'm going to take you over and show you some screenshots I took just so we can take a better, closer look at this. Okay, guys. Here's the first screenshot. Okay, now do you see that right there? Obviously, I think you guys probably do. It's there, right? Now, I was kind of confused on what this actually could be. It's probably most likely an asteroid of some sort. I don't think it's a comet. I initially thought, well, maybe it could have been, but I actually talked to Scott about this a little bit, and because it's so close to the sun, probably what we're seeing is it's burn off, okay, as it's moving. But what was interesting is that it looks as though the sun is reaching out to it. Now, that was dancing around a little bit before, but it actually kind of moved over that direction. Now, I'm not sure how fast this thing was moving, but I can tell you it was moving really fast. Okay? Not only is that the case, but this thing is probably about the size of our moon. Okay? If not a little bit bigger. So I've never known of any kind of asteroid to be the size of our moon. If anybody else has, I don't know. I've never, at least not in our solar system that we can see, right? So as we're looking at that, and I'll go over here, and it's the same thing, guys. You see it looks like a tail coming off of it, but I don't think it's a comet tail. After talking to Scott about this a little bit. I do think it's probably burn off because it is very close to the sun. But it looks as though the sun actually recognized it was there and reached out to it. So, I don't know for sure. But we could see, right? I mean, it's just what we can see right there. I just thought that was interesting. That like I said, it's probably about the size of the moon. It's moving very, very fast. And, whatever that is what it is. But it's just some more stuff to show you guys that, yes, there's lots of stuff flying around in our solar system we don't even know is there. Okay? So we have to keep in mind, obviously that right there, like I said, it's about the size of the moon. So that should tell you guys that we can have larger objects moving that fast. Okay? So with that being said, I'll just leave it right there. But yeah, hold on a second, guys. Okay, guys, we got some new sunspots I'm going to show you real quick. It actually broke the cycle there. We went 40 days without any visible sunspots facing the Earth here on the disk. Now, what we're seeing here, that's the bigger one, okay? That's the one that's been a sunspot for about a day now. But then we also now have a second one that they went ahead and confirmed, and they are from solar cycle 25, okay? Now, what does that mean? All that means is it's from the new solar cycle. The sun goes through approximately an 11-year solar cycle, okay? That's where we get our maximums and minimums from during that solar cycle. Now, what causes the solar cycle at all to change? Well, it's about polarity. All right. Basically, it has a polarity flip. All right. Every 11 years. That's what the sun does. Okay. So with that being said, how do they tell if it's 24 or 25 solar cycle? Well, they can tell by that polarity. Because if it has a negative to a positive polarity, it's one solar cycle. If it's a positive to a negative polarity, it's the other solar cycle. Now, I'm going to take you over to something to help explain that for a second. Okay, guys, this is spaceweather.com, I believe is what it is. Is it .com? Yep, spaceweather.com. Okay, they do a pretty good job over here of doing this kind of stuff. I've taken you guys here before multiple times. But as you can see, it says today, for the first time, there are 2 new cycle sunspots. Okay? So in other words, they're saying right here, they're from solar cycle 25. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you down here and let you guys read this, because what I just said is exactly what it is. We know that these sunspots belong to the next solar cycle because of their magnetic polarity. Simply put, they are backwards. According to Hell's law, sunspots' polarity flip-flop one solar cycle to the next. Okay? You can go in and see what Hell's law actually is. We're not going to do that tonight, but as you can see, this is what they do. This is how they can tell what cycle it's from. That's a positive to a negative sunspot. So what that means is that it's from solar cycle 25, because 24, the sunspots on 24 were negative to positive. All right. Now, there was a comment left in one of my comment sections a few videos back pointing to something. I think they misunderstood what the other YouTube channel was saying. We can have sunspots on our disk, which we've done it before. One of each. In other words, there was one from solar cycle 24 and one from solar cycle 25. That is possible. And we cannot get, and right now, if these sunspots go away, the next sunspot may be negative to positive, and it would be considered part of solar cycle 24. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. Now we're going to check this out, and we're going to take a look at this and see what we need to do here to talk about this a little bit more. But as you can see, there's two sunspots right there. Okay? So I just wanted to clarify that. Now we are into the solar cycle 25. So, what does that mean for us? Well, it means now, as we're starting to come into this, the sun's activity will slowly increase. All right, and that's going to be good for, radio operators. Just this one sunspot's going to send some solar flux our way, and it will allow that communication through radio to be better. All right, that does for us. All right. So, I wanted to bring you that and show you guys that. But I do think that that's interesting, and we need to pay attention to that also, because this one down here is pretty decent size, and they do have a better chance of flaring or having CMEs where there is a current sunspot. They can happen anywhere on the sun, but the chances of it flaring is greater around a sunspot. Okay? So that's why we pay attention to that, and that is coming around our way. If it hangs in and survives, we just got to pay attention. It's not necessarily something's going to happen, but the chances are greater around sunspots. Okay, guys, here's those earthquakes. All right, Port Hardy right there. You see them over here. We're not going to click on them, but just know that those happened. And I just wanted to show it to you guys real quick. Now, again, and Dutch actually kind of echoed me yesterday, and I learned that from Dutch about, the fulcrum point. We had this swarm. You see this swarm down here on the bottom? Okay, it started with a decent sized quake in Guatemala, I believe. Yeah, 5.9. You can see it over there. And then this is the ones up in Port Hardy. Now, when that happens, two larger ones like that, or a swarm and a larger one, we look in the middle where that's going to be. Dutch was talking about Baja California yesterday. It seems to be we're having some earthquakes right around that area. So that is most definitely something to look at. Now you can see here we have one in Colombia, in Argentina. These are big ones, guys. Okay, 6.0, 6.0. I mean, it's just, yeah, lots of stuff going on there. So guys, I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. We are going to end it here. We'll just move on with this. But as you can see, I'll leave you with that right there. I just thought that was interesting. Pay attention to earthquakes, guys. I'll try to keep you guys updated as much as I can. And I do hope you guys have a great holiday. And again, God bless. Sheila saves. And yeah, this is a no fear zone. Nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. God bless.